Alright, for numbers 3 and 4 it says solve by factoring. So basically, just factor both sides. Everything is already on one side of the equation already. The other side's 0, so we can go ahead and start with this one. Go ahead and put it parentheses. Two things that multiply to the left term are x and x. X times x is x squared. Two things that multiply to the right term would be 6. In this case, 6 times 6 is 36. But they also have to add up to this middle term, negative 12. So I'm just going to make both of them negative. Because in this case, negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive 36. They also add up to a negative 12. So those are my two options. And when I set them equal to 0, we'll get our answer. So x minus 6 equals 0. Move the 6 over, x equals 6. Now, normally if you have two different terms, you'd have to do this twice. But since it's the same thing, you're just going to get 6 twice. Either way, the answer is 6. Now for number 4, it's the same idea. We're going to factor it. But first thing we need to do is we need to get everything to one side. So I like my x squares to be positive, so I'm just going to leave it on the left. So we've got 12x squared minus 5x after we move it over. I'm not sure where that every little button came from. There we go. Minus 5x. Move the 2 over, minus 2 equals, and there's nothing left over there, so there's a nice big 0. From here, we factor it, parentheses, and we're just going to try a few things until we get it to right. All right? Remember, two things that multiply to the left. In this case, I'm going to try 6 and 2. So 6x, wrong color, 6x and 2x, because 6 times 2 is 12. Then I'm going to pick two things that multiply up to the right number. In this case, 2 and 1 are pretty much my only options. So I'll do 2 and 1. They have to multiply to a negative 2. So one of these has to be negative, so I'll put negative 1 and a positive 2. They have to be different signs, because in order to multiply to a negative, they've got to be different signs. And the way you check, remember, outside, inside. So outside, 6 times negative 1, that's negative 6. 2 times 2 is 4, and they have to add up to that middle term. In this case, negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. That is not my middle term, so we got to go back and try something else. In this case, the 2 and 1... let's do that. Alright, so in this case, I'm going to leave the 2 and the 1 alone. I have plus 2 and a negative 1. Because 2 and 1 are pretty much the only options I've got. So I'll pick something else for 12. I'll pick 3 times 4, so 3x and 4x. Alright, because 3 times 4 gives me that left term 12. So again, we check it the same method. Outside, inside. So 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 2 times 4 is 8. Negative 3 and 8 add up to positive 5. Which is almost what we want. We wanted a negative 5 instead. So what I'm going to do is change my signs. Come on. There we go. So instead of a negative 1 and a positive 2, I'm going to have a negative 2 and a positive 1, and you'll check real quick. 3 times 1 is 3, negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, and when you add those together, you get negative 5. So those are your two terms. They add up to that middle. And you basically just keep trying until you find it. From here, to actually solve, we need to set them equal to 0. So 3x minus 2 equals 0, and when we solve, we get x equals positive 2/3. And on this one, we do 4x plus 1 equals 0. And when we solve, we get x equals negative 1/4. So your answers for these ones are x equals negative 1/4 and positive 2/3.